All right, so today we've a 2017 Volkswagen Transporter in. Customer states non-start. First protocol here is to confirm customer complaint and then we'll take it from there. Oh, that's not good.
Nope, that's not starting at all.
Okay, so we want to grab here or there, we'll do a diagnostic. And that thud noise you're hearing, that's not a nice noise to hear as well. You can hear it slowly take over, and that thud would indicate there's a bit of a timing issue. So before we go any forward to save time, let's plug it in and see what comes up in that.
You can actually see that the fault code P034100, camshaft position stands for 1, signal improbable.
Well,
As you can see,
pretty blatantly obvious, the belt has failed here. Numerous different things could cause that, but most likely it's probably on the van since new, so don't forget to change your time belt. At this stage, it's going to be one or two things. You could be lucky and it just maybe jumped a tooth and the engine's still salvageable. So what we'll do is we'll put a belt on it first. We'll leave everything on it, everything original, put a belt on it, time it out properly and see if it fires up and runs okay. That's the cheapest way out of it for this customer. If we start just firing time belt kits at it now, we're just adding a lot of money onto a job that the engine could ultimately be.
it's unnecessary at this point, so hopefully customer may have got lucky, but we won't know until we put on...
It's a big may.
Yeah, until we put on a new time belt, get it timed up properly and see what the outcome is.
Yeah. And the engine could be savable, and if the engine is savable at that point, we'll pull the new belt off and then we'll change all the pulleys and the water pump.
We'll do the proper tensioner, water pump, and away we go.
That's it. All right, so Ian has this strip now and we're at a point where the time's been set up, so he's inside the bottom locking tool. So come on around here and have a wee look. Ian will tell you what he found.
So we have the bottom locking tool in at the crank, so we know we're at TDC. Here's your camshaft sprocket. This is the locking tool that goes in here. But unfortunately, where we need to be is roughly about here. So we know we're actually off about 2 to 3 teeth. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the old belt off, put a new belt on, time it to the correct marks, and then we're going to start it and see if there's any physical damage. Sometimes you can get away with 1 tooth, but because this is 2 to 3 teeth, more chances are
it's going to be hit or miss.
It's hit and miss, because these are an interference engine. So when the belt do go or go out of timing, valves will hit the piston.
It's as if something hit that belt. See the way it's just going.
It's not the ribs that failed, it was like the belt then just pulled apart.
I don't think that's the original belt. I think that's
the crankshaft pulley was seized on. You know, it's like no one's been in there.
I know what you mean, yeah.
You know, the 4 bolts, but getting it off the actual crank nose was a bugger. Okay, so now that we've had the old damaged belt off, it's been retimed, new belt put on, rotated 4 times, locking pins back in again, so we know we're TDC and the cam is locked. And
can you see when you're rotating that, did you find any resistance in it?
No resistance at all. The only resistance I had was...
That's either a good sign or a bad sign. There's not much in between.
It's a good sign but a bad sign in a way, because we still don't know until we started. But there was no resistance apart from the compression, natural compression in the engine.
Right. Who's turned the key?
You.
Thanks. Jesus.
Would you start with their mass? She should still start with their mass off, shouldn't she?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what's going to start. The moment of truth. Oh. Aim. There's no air strap on this side, is there?
Ah, that's what it is. Air strap.
Grab jump lead.
Yeah.
The reason the thing didn't fire up is because the air strap's not on it. The air strap's actually in the engine mount, which we had to take off to the time belt. We don't want putting the air strap back on it yet because we've put the whole thing together and we don't want to put it together and find out there's a problem. So what Ian's going to do now is just put a set of jump leads on it and bypass the air straps till we get started. It's the plan. Had I stayed at school, I would not have grey hair. Oh, grey
And
beard.
I used to be blonde and then got angry. Oh.
He got angry. He was blonde till he went to Land Rover.
Yeah. Started to get thin around the mid-20s. That was the motor trade getting stressful.
The moment of truth. First one's doing a test run. Plug in the airflow sensor just for the crack. It shouldn't make a difference.
Try it now.
Not looking good. There's no fault codes.
No fault codes.
I'll tell you now, go in, yeah.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Well, I'll be.
It's good there. Cam and crank. Speeds are good, like so. Yeah, I'm still wondering what caused the first one to go. It's just saying camshaft signal improbable, so there's no lumps of belt. Wait, hang on a minute, now to redo a bit of
There's
investigation.
no make on it. Can't see anything. If that was changed, there would be a maker on that. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's genuine.
We're just having a wee look to see, so the van's 2017, so we're having a wee look to see if there's any sort of writing on the belt, because if the belt was on the last couple of years, there'd be still writing on it. The writing has completely been rubbed off it. To look at the side, you can see this wee rib thread going through it, and that would indicate that it's a continental belt. Not that it's an issue with a continental belt, but a continental belt is the original equipment for the Volkswagen when this vehicle was made. So there's a good chance that that belt is on it since it left Poland or Germany or wherever they put them together.
And there's 118,000 kilometres on it.
Yeah.
So I would envision that would be original belt.
But I think they recommend 10 years or 250,000 kilometres, which just goes to show it's too long. Do not go by manufacturers' recommendations because they're only a selling point. 5 years, 100,000 kilometres, whichever comes first, change your belt. Now, one of the things that we're going to have to do before this vehicle goes back out, if we are happy that we can get it timed up perfectly and we can save this engine, one of the things we have to do, we can't just go bump, bump, good luck. We have to say, hang on a minute, is it a case that this belt was just too old and had started breaking up and that's what caused the failure, or did something else cause it? It's never good enough just to slap a car together and wish it on its merry way. It's always very important to find out what caused the issue. If it boils down to it, it's on too long, well, so be it. But we can't take that chance because
Our name was on it.
we have to sign the bottom line. And right, so Ian's had a wee look at this engine and he's ascertained that there's damage to the camshaft. So we have a few different options that we give the customer. Option one, quite simply, put it back together. Could take 10 or 15 seconds to start and have a long think about what you want to do overall. The problem with that is you don't really like letting jobs like that out because realistically the start's not going to last too long with all that swinging. Option two was we could get a new cambox from Volkswagen. Cambox was costing around €1,000 plus fitting, plus new belt, plus everything. You're still going to be up around $3,000 for doing that. And you're taking the risk of when the belt slipped, have we valve damage? Because the cambox is not fixed valves. Also, is there any, and it's slim, but there is a potential chance, and usually Murphy's Law is if there's a slim chance it's going to happen, that there's conrod damage. I've seen that before where the valve, you might think the valves are perfect, but there's the tiniest wee, immeasurable bit of damage in the conrod, and basically it never runs right forever. So we said the third option was brand new engine. And I told the customer, look, you can ring the likes of O'Loughlin's above in Donegal, they're a specialist Volkswagen breaker. You're going to be talking around $2,500 for an engine. I said, you know what, we'll jump on to PartsLink and see what Volkswagen are charging for an engine. We know from the craft we looked at a few weeks ago, Volkswagen were looking around 10,200 plus VAT for an engine. So when we went on to PartsLink and put this chassis number in, and we were surprised to see that, shocked, yeah, more of a shock, that the engine is 5,000 plus the VAT, which, as you can now see, that's the option. Because we're delighted the customer went with that option, because what it's allowing us to do as mechanics, it's allowing us to do the job right. There's no mechanic wants to do botched jobs. If you hear a mechanic and he's a router or a botched job, he's not a router. It's the customers are only allowing him to do or willing to spend.
What is budget he actually can
Yeah, and then he gets labelled as a router. Whereas we insist on doing the job right or don't do it at all. And thankfully, the engine's at the right price. And as we can see already here, that's a damn good price because it comes with 4 injectors that are roughly 500 quid a pop. So there's 2 grand worth of injectors there. So that means the engine's only about 3 grand. You'd spend that on a second-hand engine that comes with no injectors. So we know when that van leaves here, it's a brand new engine, brand new set of injectors. That thing is going to be leaving here running as sweet as a nut.
Yeah, and it makes my life a lot easier.
It's more enjoyable too because a lot of people don't realise when you come with second-hand engines, they're oily, they're dirty, they're messy. You're relying on that engine being in good condition before you get it, and it's not always the case. So we know this thing is brand new. It's going to be a pleasure to work on in comparison to an oily, dirty mess. So, Ian, good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, so while Ian's over there, he's starting to remove the old engine out of the van. Let's have a quick look at what really went on. So here we have the cam box out of a crafter that was here a few weeks ago. This is the very same cam box that's in this transporter. So you can see here, this is where your camshaft pulley goes on. Your camshaft's turned by your timing belt, brings power up to the other end of the shaft. There's 2 gears in here in this casing, and this turns the inlet camshaft. Now on the inlet camshaft, you can see here, this exciter ring, you have your camshaft sensor, which hypothetically sits here and measures 1s and 0s, on, off. And what happens there, this ring in this transporter engine has moved, so it's not giving the signal to the ECU from the camshaft. The only purpose of a camshaft signal is to get the engine started. The camshaft turns at half the speed of the crankshaft, which is useful for the ECU trying to detect a start-up. When the camshaft either fails or the camshaft sensor fails, it'll take a long time to start. Eventually it will start, and that's what's going on in this. Now, if we look back in here, this ring is a press fit onto this shaft. There's nothing touching this ring anywhere. It's not like the camshaft lobes where it's actually pressing down on rockers and followers. There's nothing here to damage this ring. So the only thing that could knock this out of sync is if the actual camshaft itself was twisted or damaged up at this end here. In that instance, there's no point in messing around with it. That's where we made the call of just change the engine. If the damage is done in here, what's the point in messing with it? We could try and adjust it, we could try and fix it, but the risk is if we change the cam box without changing the rest of the engine, there could be untold damage elsewhere in the engine, and it's a very expensive call to make, where for a few grand more, you've got a full new engine with absolutely everything brand new. It's the only way to go.
As you can see here, we have the engine removed from this caravel / transporter. There's a lot of bits. Subframe, boom, gearbox. So now we've got one of my favorite bits, is engine out, parts back on, back into the van. Don't even know if this crane's gonna be wide enough. No. Does anyone need a boat anchor?
Funny you say that.
Okay, so here we have the brand new engine, and as you can see, we're just transferring all the old parts from the old engine to the new engine, and obviously we're replacing all the gaskets. So inlet manifold gaskets, turbo manifold gaskets, the water junction pipes, thermostat housing gaskets. This engine actually comes with 4 brand new injectors, which is very, very good, because they're roughly like €500 a piece. And it also comes with oil filter housing. And then power steering pump, it's going to be getting a brand new timing belt and water pump. Okay, so as you can see, this is a brand new flywheel that's on. Brand new clutch is sitting right there. The customer did ask us to replace the clutch and flywheel, even though there was nothing wrong with the clutch and flywheel, but it was just the fact that the amount of job that we went to for the engine box to come out, especially in these vans, the subframe has to come down in order for it to come out. So this is brand new engine's getting a brand new clutch and flywheel, so the customer has confidence that it's going to last for another couple of years. This is the engine harness, and this has to obviously be fitted to the engine, but at the same time there's the network of the coolant pipes that has to be fitted. So it's sort of fit once, check, fit another pipe, check, because the engine harness actually intertwines in through the pipes, so it can be a bit tricky in order to make sure that everything fits correctly and it's routed the right way, because what you don't want is part of the loom to be sitting routed wrong and therefore rubbing against something, and over time eventually it'll rub through and you're going to get a wiring problem. Because this is a caravel, which is a transporter, the way they have the engine harness and the ECU, it's concealed in a box on the passenger side above the wheel. Whereas if this engine, which is basically a Golf or Passat engine, it would be routed a lot easier. The ECU would be sitting looking at you, it'd be easy to disconnect. Whereas on these vans, they make it a bit more difficult trying to bury everything and make sure it's concealed and out of the way, because they do sort of try and cram everything into the engine bay. But it makes it a bit more challenging for me, but I like a good challenge. It's Christmas. Here we have new timing belt, new tensioner, new idler pulleys, 1, 2, new nuts and bolts, new belt, genuine Volkswagen, and brand new water pump. As you can see, we're locked in on the camshaft, locked in on the crankshaft, so we know we're at TDC. We'll turn it over a few times to make sure everything lines up, and that's it, ready to go. Okay, so as you can see, we actually have new timing belt, idler pulleys, new water pump, and new tensioner on. We're still locked up, top and bottom. As you can see, this tensioner is eccentric because obviously we need to tension the belt. You want all the slack on this side because the tensioner is going to take that up. Whereas if you have slack here and you've got tension here, when you go to crank it over or start it or whatever, you're going to go out of timing because the belt is going to be allowed to jump. So always make sure your tensioner is correct, and it's also the slack is on this side. 6mm Allen key on the tensioner. As I bring it round, you'll just see the little peak just match up with the window. Tighten the 15mm, that's it, tensioned. If I go past it, I'm over tensioned. If I go before it, I'm under tensioned. So you need to have the correct tension on the belt at all times, or you can have problems with timing, and then we're back to square one, yeah. This is the old engine. New engines on the subframe, amongst coolant hoses, charge air cooler, new timing belt's been fitted. I'll just show you the back end of the engine, turbocharger, all new gaskets, all mounted on the subframe, ready to go back into the van tomorrow morning. So it's the next day. We're going to fit the exhaust. So it's easier for me to fit the exhaust on the engine now than it is when the engine and subframe is in the van. As you can see, this is one of the exhaust clamps. Just goes on to the turbo here. Just 2 nuts and bolts, and then that's that, done.
Right, Ian, you're 28 days into this job now.
Feels like it.
It's great work been done here. Ian's after spending the last few days getting this whole engine built back up. It's not just the engine. The bare block is so minimal It's so tiny compared to all the crap that's on it. And myself and Ian were just chatting about this the other day. We're saying, do you know what? Where did this go wrong? It's all emissions related. When I started saving my time with Nissan, you had that block and head in the middle. You had an inlet manifold which consisted of a tiny wee bit of steel with a flap on the top of it and an air filter slapped on top of it. That was it.
Yeah.
And your exhaust was literally down, exhaust into a cattle conveyor.
And straight out the back.
None of this, absolutely none of it. So somewhere along the line, emissions regulations came in, and there was so many different changes made to engines to try and get them to adhere to regulations. Yes, the air is cleaner, we'll give them that, but at a massive cost to the consumer as regards doing any sort of work with them.
And technician's point of view. Sore head.
It's very sore head. Yeah, my head very sore. Flying solder and all that sort of stuff. It's a private joke. So, you've all, everything's built
So
up.
everything, yeah, the engine's in, mostly everything except the front end. We've got fluids in, so
Some
shiz-
fluids. You lost a bit.
Well, maybe not that bit. Once we get the front end on,
You'll allow them.
we'll get the cooling done.
So what's happening here at the minute is we're going to turn the engine over. Rather than going in with the key and swing this, we don't want the engine to start. We want to swing it over, and the reason we want to swing is we want to get the oil pump to do its job and suck the oil up, bring it in. There's only so much lubrication we can do to the engine in situ without actually having the thing running. So we've done all we can do. Now the last section is we're using our trusty TNT button, whatever you want to call it. We're going to
Big
basically
bang button.
the big bang. There better not be a big bang after all that. So what we're looking to do is we're going to get this. We're just activating the starter. The ignition's off, so there's nothing connected as regards the engine cannot start. So all that's going to happen is it's going to swing over. We're going to do it for that for maybe 10 seconds. Give it a break, another few seconds, and that's going to get all the oil pumped around the engine. And once we're satisfied with that, then we can go with the key. All right? Do you want to do it, or will I keep going?
No, you do it.
All right, you stand back. That didn't happen.
Yeah. No oil leaks there.
2 hours later.
A short time ago, we were turning over the engine. We were using our clicky starter. Now we're progressing to the other starting method. Ian,
The key.
your turn.
It's an honour.
Will you give it a hug? Not beautiful. Easy, Tiger.
Roar.
Right. That's that. That sounds a lot sweeter and will start a lot quicker. Now, it did swing a couple of times. Not worry about that. This is a brand new engine. It does need all the fluids primed up in it. Still got to get belts and all that. But look, yeah,
Good result.
good result. So look, just all get it back together and get out the door. So, back to you.
You caught me off guard there. You caught me. So next thing, I need to check the levels, make sure there's no leaks, all the clamps are tight, all the lids are back on, everything is buttoned and ready to go for a test drive.
This is right on the thing. Just slagging in here. It would be funny if the horn didn't work after all that work. Just after we test drive in the Transporter. Very happy with that. It's very important that vehicles are test drove, especially in an instance where there's a new engine put in it. Preferably, I'd like to take this for a few days and drive it to and from work, nice and easy. But I know the customer wants it back. The good weather that we're having outside, I'm sure he wants to get away being a camper. So what we're going to explain to him is keep the revs low, don't be rallying it or pushing it on, and let the engine bed in nicely. And when he comes back from the first trip, I'd be very happy if we got it back then for a wee oil change. And hopefully that's all. So that's that button up now, and we hope you really enjoyed that content. If it's something you'd like to see more of, do click on subscribe. The more subscribers we have, the more we can spend time on doing things like this and recording them. We really hope you enjoyed this as much as we did.